Both the Senate and President Obama's proposals for immigration reform agree the pathway begins in the back of the line, behind everyone who's legally waiting. But it turns out there isn't one line. There are many lines. Joining me to talk about the long line to citizenship is John Rossman, social media editor for KPBS Fronteras Desk. John, briefly tell me, how does someone get into the path for citizenship?
Well, as you probably know, there's different types of visas you can get, right? There's, you can get an employment-based visa, and then there's also a family-based visa. And family-based visas are by far the biggest number of people apply for family-based visas, okay? And because that's kind of like the cornerstone of immigration. You want to bring your wife over, you want to bring your child over. And so inside this family-based visa system, there are kind of two different categories. There's someone, like I was explaining, if I had a wife from Canada, bringing her over or bringing my son over from Canada, that I fall into the first category, and there's unlimited visas. But for other kind of more, distant relationships is what kind of the government calls it, there's a different category, and it's arranged by preferences, and there's a cap on visas. And that's kind of where some of the problems kind of arise.
And who falls into that category?
Well, so let's say I'm a U.S. citizen, my son or daughter who lives in another country who's over 21 years old, so they're kind of like an adult. My siblings, so my sister or brother who lives in another country and their kids. If I am a legal resident, if I have a green card, my spouse or child.
So you've spoken to people. You spoke to one man in particular,
right,
who falls into that category. What's his story?
So he falls into the F1 category. His father is a U.S. citizen, and he is from Mexico. And so different countries actually have different wait times because the demand on visas are a lot higher, as you can imagine, in Mexico than in Luxembourg, right? Mm-hmm. And so he falls into that category, and he's from
How old is
he? Well, I'm not sure. He's been waiting. Well, he's been waiting in this line for 18 years.
18 years.
So he's definitely older than 21, and he's older than, 18.
So what is he doing in the meantime?
Right.
What is he doing in the meantime? Where is he living?
So he lives at his father's home, and he has a work permit. And so he's able to live there. And so what he's kind of waiting for is pathway to citizenship, to eventual citizenship. He wants to feel like he's part of this country. And so, I talked to him. He went to school here. He has a work permit here. He has like a lot to be proud of, and he has an American experience. But there's a part that's missing, right? And part of that citizenship, and part of it is while he's waiting these 18 years, he's put off other things in his life, like getting married, for example. If he were to fall in love with someone who is not a documented citizen, he would have to go in a whole other category. And so, but let me backtrack. He's been waiting for 18 years. And if you look at this category, kind of the government issues kind of visa, there's like a visa bulletin where once you enter the line, you're given like your date as like a timestamp, right? So I entered this line, June 1994 and 15, and I have that on a card, and I can look online and see like how far along I am, and I can kind of gauge, when I'm coming. So right now, the visa wait time is July 1993 for this category. The problem is, if you look back 10 years at the visa bulletin, it's moved backwards around 18 months. So in 10 years, between point A and point B, it's actually moved backwards because the demand is so high. And so he's in this line waiting, and I talked to his lawyer, and she estimates that this line's going to be, as many as 100 years long. So it's not 20 years like the visa bulletin says. It's actually a lot longer.
And how does this affect the 11 million people who are undocumented immigrants who live in this country who might want to get on that path to citizenship?
I think that's the question, right? When we talk about immigration reform, it's just so complex, and there's so many different facets and avenues. And I think one of my most interesting parts of this story, right? I mean, this wait time is so horrendously long, but the problem is, Mexico, for example, or another place like the Philippines where this happens, the reason the wait's so long is they're benefiting the most from legal immigration, right? Because they are going through the process at such rapid numbers that they're using up their cap on limited visas. So they're actually benefiting a lot. And we have a lot of Mexicans coming over legally. And so it's just so complex. So what does this mean?
But will immigration reform, will it fix the backlog in any way? Does it address it?
It does. I mean, so the President and Senate's proposals both address, that there is a problem with the backlog. And the President's proposal, which again is going to be enacted if Congress can't come up with a solution. I mean, suggests raising the country caps from I believe it's like 7% to 15%.
And we're going to have to wrap it there, John Rossman.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sure this is a topic that's going to be discussed more in the future.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you.